Today's panelists include Nadia Brahmi, Technology Director, GSMA, Izar Ahmed, Director, Industry Affairs and Communications, Samina Telecommunications Council, Bushra Alias, Senior Manager, Mobile Access Network E&, Ahmed El Shal, Director, Access Network Development and Solutions Design, DO. We have Drazen Kolnar, Senior ICT Solution Architect, Huawei, MECA. Mohammed Samir, VP Middle East Mobile Networks, Nokia. Zoran Lazarevic, CTO, Ericsson Middle East and Africa. Dr. Ali Said Shinoon Al-Hashmi, General Manager Networks, Omantel. Let's give them all a round of applause. We also have, sorry about that, Kiwan Wang, DGM for Global Marketing and Business Development, Director of EMI Region, Tozid Kangwe Tech Co. And our moderator will be Ms. Christine once again on stage.
I would like to welcome our esteemed panelists for today, the largest panel yet at Telecom Review Leaders Summit. But we're so glad to have everyone here on stage so we can hear the diverse points of view of everyone from operators, ecosystem, vendors. So I will start with the first question. So my first question will go to you, Izhar. With U6G spectrum allocation and commercialization advancing at different speeds worldwide, how would you assess the global landscape today across spectrum policy, regulatory frameworks, and early commercial activity in key regions?
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here in this very successful summit, and thank you for the question. Allow me to just say a few words about the merit of this spectrum. Of course, you know, the digital inclusion possibilities and the ability to innovate both on the cellular side as well as on the wireless LAN ecosystem
It's okay.
and digital services that we can create and run over this spectrum. There's one key thing that this spectrum allows us to do, especially because these days we are talking heavily about artificial intelligence. So what this spectrum does is it allows us to actually do more scientific exploration, to be able to magnify the impact of the new scientific discoveries. So that's one thing. And then, of course, many countries are wanting to pursue artificial intelligence, but sovereign artificial intelligence. So all of these things are going to be made possible with this exceptional, what I call blessing of 700 megahertz. So that's the merit of this spectrum. Now, when we assess the regulatory landscape, we see from Asia Pacific going all the way to South America. Basically, we can categorize countries into three categories. One, that have adopted IMT spectrum in this, that have allocated IMT, this spectrum for IMT use. There are other countries that are pursuing more on the wireless LAN side, and then there are those who were pursuing the wireless LAN side but decided to come also allocate it for IMT use. Here in the UAE, we see that, you know, this allocation and the possibilities that it has created have set an exceptional example. And it all started with WRC-23 going to the allocation for IMT, and then the fixed wireless access growth that we have seen here in the UAE, then the launch of 5G Advanced, and then to a 6G roadmap. So we see a tremendous clarity with respect to the spectrum here in the UAE, and it sets an exceptional example for the rest of the countries. So that is a general assessment of how we see the landscape. And this leads us to, just very briefly, on what to prioritize. So right now, I would think that we need to prioritize on four fronts: on the regulatory front, on the technology front, on the services front, and on the ecosystem front. So on the regulatory front, we need to be able to create regulatory clarity as to which part of the spectrum is allocated for IMT, and how do we do this allocation keeping the cellular ecosystem in mind as well as the wireless LAN ecosystem in mind, and how do we drive value per megahertz from every single one of these 700 megahertz. So that's one on the regulatory side. On the technology side, of course, we have to develop chips, we have to develop infrastructure, the processing power, everything has to be aligned, standardized. On the services side, we need to create use cases. So the spectrum needs to reflect what use cases where it can add the most value. And then on the ecosystem front, of course, we have to balance the cellular innovation side with the wireless LAN possibilities, the experience. And that experience, of course, is not just for users, it's also for the devices.
Sure.
So that collectively is how I see this, as of now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nadia, my next question goes to you. So globally, the rollout of your 6G faces uneven regional development, while the Middle East has formed a unique window of opportunity thanks to its first mover advantage. From a global perspective, what replicable opportunities can Middle Eastern practices offer to other regions?
Thank you, Christina, for having me here. And as we heard, so the 5G Advanced is the next chapter, and we from the GSMA, we believe that the 6 gigahertz is the bridge that will take us there. So if I have to take the experience from the Middle East, and especially the GCC, which are the first mover, I can name three replicable opportunities or lessons we can learn. So the first one is decide early. And if we look around the world, so there is still a lot of debate around the 6 gigahertz band. Some countries are still waiting, some others are fragmenting the band, but we at the GSMA, so our position is clear. By 2030, we will need roughly 2 gigahertz of mid-band spectrum to accommodate the demand and also to deliver the promises of the 5G Advanced and to prepare to the AI-ready infrastructure. So if I take the UAE, and I think they have made a pioneering decision by allocating the upper band to the mobile and the IMT. And this is actually the type of decision we at the GSMA, we advocate or we call for, because this is the only way that you can reach the peak performances for the 5G and also 5G Advanced, and also you prepare for the 6G. So it's a lesson or something that could be easily replicable. Any country, they need to have a roadmap how to use the 6 gigahertz, especially the upper band. And that also will give a good message for the investors. So operators and vendors and investors, they know where we are heading. We have a clear roadmap so they can start investing. The second lesson we've seen it is the test and learn. So this decision on the 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz band especially, they didn't remain on paper. So we have seen a regulator and operator, they start doing their testing, measuring the performance on real world. They are doing pilot tests and trials. They build kind of a sandbox for innovation. And this is, again, is a very good mindset for learning, and this is for both the regulator, because then they have a founded evidence to set up and that their regulation is the good one. And this is also good for the operators because then they minimize the risk before they go to the full rollout or commercial rollout. The third lesson I would mention here, and we have heard it this morning, is the build together. So build with the whole ecosystem. We have seen operator, vendors, regulator, government, and also academia. They all came together and start testing the 5G Advanced in real network. They started also looking into how to build or to think about the future of the 6G. I have heard it this morning also, I think, the same message on the DO presentation this morning. And this is, again, from a GSMA perspective or point of view, this is where we would like to see every region heading or aiming for. So just to summarize, I think 3, decide early, do not postpone the 6 gigahertz decision, test and learn, and then build with the whole ecosystem. This is how you can unlock the next digital era.
Absolutely, thank you. Kevin, my next question goes to you. So with the evolution of U6G and the early commercial availability of U6G devices, how can device vendors and content providers innovate to address diversified consumer and industry needs, such as monetizing user experience and enabling high downlink applications?
Thank you. I'm Kevin from 10Z. How can you quickly remember me? Remember us? From A to Z, 10Z. That's us. So we thank you for as an echo partner of Huawei. We are very proudly to share with you that we, through collaboration with Huawei, we have released the world's first U6G devices, and we have completed our pilot in UAE. UAE has set a very good example, and also in Oman and in Uzbekistan. And in 2026, we are going to have the pilot in Germany, Bahrain, and also in Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Czechoslovakia. So, as an eco partner, we have our gradual strategy for the U6G. With the development of the U6G network, the download speed has reached to 10 gigabyte. And also with the development of the chipset capability, such as MediaTek 930, and also with the development of the Wi-Fi from Wi-Fi 6 to 7 to Wi-Fi 8. With this capability, as a U6G device vendor, there is a lot of things that we can do. You already know we already have the existing device for the pilot, and our second generation is also, it will be ready. It's based on the second generation of the chipset Unisoc, and also we totally complies with the N1 support N1104 for band, and the bandwidth can reach to 200 megahertz. And also, so the downlink with the 3TX, and the uplink, we can reach to 1.78 gigabit. And also, within this one, with this machine, we also have the 4,500 milliampere hour for the battery as option. So for this device can quickly help the telecom operators to fast go to the market to initiate the project. And for our next generation U6G device is based on MediaTek G9030. For this one, we can reach to 400 megahertz bandwidth, and also it can support 6cc for new radio. Okay, so this is very, very powerful, and it can reach almost 9.36 gigabyte for the downlink. For the uplink, can reach to 2.78 gigabyte. So for this capability, we believe that we can accommodate the extensive uses in for example, for the customer users, like the immersive extended reality, and also the real-time 8K, and also the high-speed cloud interaction. And for industrial industrial scenario, like the CEO of Telecom Review mentioned, also in like the smart manufacturing, telemedicine, and also a smart stadium, smart concert, and etc. So we can we can accommodate the users. And also, I want to mention about the challenge. For the challenge is that the maturity of the ecosystem for U6G. When it come, how soon it will become mature. Now UAE and we set the example. Now how soon it can become a mature user scenario. And that, I think also, the second challenge is that how to quantify and how to price the user experience. So that's related to telecom operator. I think you have your wisdom how to design the service package to the market. Yes.
So we will hear now from the telecom operators. I will start with Bushra. What are operators' core principles for planning U6G 10 gigabit network construction, and how can networks support business implementation?
Thank you, Christine. It's actually an honor to be here and a privilege to join such a huge, distinguished panel to discuss one of the main topics that's going to actually shape the future of our industry. From EAN perspective, when we talk about 6 gigahertz, we actually think of it in a very structured way. Let me walk you through a few of the key elements from our approach. First, everything starts with spectrum strategy. 6 gigahertz is actually a premium band. It provides us a huge opportunity because it falls in the mid-band, so it's the best combination between coverage and capacity. Moreover, the allocation of 350 megahertz chunk of bandwidth is very rare, and I would say this is the last remaining mid-band spectrum. So it's very valuable for our industry. For EAN, the topic of 6 gigahertz is not new. We've been actually shaping the discussion of 6 gigahertz, I would say 6 to 8 years back, starting from the WRC 19, where the agenda item was formed in WRC 19, and then throughout the study cycle of WRC 23, and finally reaching to the identification of the band. This is a very huge milestone because it gives us operators and the industry as a whole that momentum is going to pick up. Economies of scale are going to be there. So, and that was evident because after the WRC 23, we've seen countries where they were pro other services in 6 gigahertz are actually changing their position to pro IMT in the upper 6 gigahertz. We see Brazil taking some sort of decisions. India is actually planning auction. So that shows you huge markets are playing or moving towards having 6 gigahertz for IMT. I would say around 40 to 50% of the global population actually falls into countries where they will have access to 6 gigahertz IMT, and that's huge. So once spectrum is in place, the second task we have is actually to ensure ecosystem readiness. That's very important because monetizing 6 gigahertz, we would actually need the whole ecosystem to move with us, starting with the radio equipment. We've been in coordination and collaboration with our vendors, starting from the R&D phase to having the different trials. We actually have few of the first in the MENA region and first globally. And that's not just for the sake of testing. We want to actually prove that 6 gigahertz is actually a very powerful band that we actually need for our network. So we're in discussion with our vendors to make sure that our requirement in the network is satisfied. Few of the requirements is that we want 6 gigahertz to perform as identical as C-band. That's crucial to us because we're not looking for further densifying our network. We want to have the 6 gigahertz as a layer on top of the current infrastructure. Another very important objective for us is to have the 6 gigahertz layer to boost our uplink performance. That's key because we've seen that the use cases that we have in the market would actually require intensive upload powers. So we bet on our vendors' capability to innovate and actually deliver a world-class 6 gigahertz equipment. So that takes me to the ecosystem, which is basically the chipset and the device. It's crucial to have the delivery of chipset and device in time I would say our market is very unique. So we have different layers, different network than the networks in Europe and the US, especially in the GCC countries. We have different band combination. So having the chipset ready at this stage is crucial for us to be able to monetize and for our customer to enjoy the benefits of 6 gigahertz and the advanced network from day one. That takes me to the deployment strategy. I would say our deployment strategy is very pragmatic. We would actually target the areas where we have high dense area, and then areas where we have, like I would say, high corridors traffic, and then even areas where our customer would actually require high capacities and low latencies. So those are the areas where we will have the initial rollout. And that's crucial because we are actually looking for monetization. Monetization is key, and then we want our customers and the overall network experience to boost since the first day we roll out the 6 gigahertz.
Thank you so much. I would like to hear now from Ahmed on what is Du actually now doing in this regard.
When we are talking about our 6 gigahertz as operator, the talk should start from three main principles. Number one, the performance and customer experience. This is crucial for us to start with. Second is the efficiency of the spectrum itself and how we can deploy it in network. And third, the future ready. Because whatever we are building now, it should be sustained for the 6G evolution as well. The three main principles we are looking for. First, it should be the performance when it comes to the enhancing customer experience. Second is the future ready, and third is the efficiency of what we are building. First, the customer experience and how we are enhancing the customer experience with upper 6 gigahertz. From the field, whatever we are building on the top of the existing tower as well, it should be considered part of the efficiency, because this upper 6 gigahertz, and this is what we have tested and proved it also with many of our vendors, this upper 6 gigahertz band is almost comparable with C band, with 3.6 gigahertz. But from our side, this was proved, demonstrated on the ground. We see also the upper 6 gigahertz as a new layer for advancing the 5G. We in UAE, we are a leader in 5G advanced deployment. We have started the 5G advanced deployment 2 years back. And the two operators in UAE, you know, they are competing each other. Who's will be the first, who's deploying the best and advanced network in a place, which is healthy competition, yes, between the two operators. From our side, always, whatever we are testing, verified, always should be coordinated also with our lovely regulatory, which is the TEDRA. I don't know if someone is here also from TEDRA, but always we are coordinating with our regulation body here in UAE in order to position the upper 6 gigahertz as a future band for advancing in 6G way. Last but not least, also from our side, enhancing the customer experience with upper 6 gigahertz, we see it as additional layer. So it's meaning when we started the 5G deployment, we have started with C-band, then we have anchored with N41, then we are considering some of the low band in RFDD to boost the deep indoor coverage, to give uplink priority also to the deep indoor users who's living inside the high-rise building or deep indoor coverage scenario. But from our side, we see it as layering strategy as well. It's not replacing the existing one, but it's complementing the existing spectrum. We see it from different angles in order to boost the customer experience from a throughput aspect, from latency aspect, and also enhancing the AI capability within our network. Because as we know, evolving more in the technology, it's required more automation, it's required more self-healing and looping mechanism, which supporting the AI capabilities. That's why whatever we are doing also, it should be matching with our strategy and way of deployment of supporting the AI for run and AI to run as well.
Thank you. Dr. Ali, if we can know what is done by Omantel in this regard?
All right, that's a good question, actually. I will start with which I even explained yesterday, with the history of the 5G in Omantel. When we deployed the 5G first in the C-band, was basically for the FWA because of, as the population, they scattered across of the mountains. They're not all of them in the in the city. So whereas the fibers are very difficult to reach, or the cables. So the 5G was a tool, and the uptake was like 300% over there. Made the C-band congested immediately. So we acquired additional frequency, which is we're operating in 2.6. Again, is congested, because the FWA is a heavy users compared to the mobile. And then, thanks in coordination with the regulatory, we managed to get the millimeter wavelength. So in millimeter wavelength, we got the whole 800 meg. So it's huge. So even in the 800 megahertz, in the millimeter wavelength, the uptake is very high as well. So you can say we have like a wedding cake, 2.6, 3.5, and then we're going to the millimeter wavelength. And we already keep an eye long-term back for the upper 6, because the remaining now is an upper 6. Even my colleague, they said, Oman, and Omantel specifically, were really strong involved in the regulation with when we got the news about the WRC 23, about the announcement of it, was a celebration news for us. Immediately we start engaging with our vendors to start ordering the equipment, engaging with our regulatory to start. I don't want to say it's a POC more than we're doing commercial direct. The only drawback about the availability of the equipments and the challenge between us and the R&Ds, as my colleague said, because the upper 6, it was, we anticipated as a limitation of the reach. Because it's higher frequency, so expect it to be a lower range in the reach. But the good thing with the equipment manufacturer and the R&D, they increase the layers. If you look about the 6 or the 5G, they were just operating 64 layers, whereas the upper 6 new equipment, they already promised to go even beyond 200 layers. So that will give you the reach of the 3.5. So that's a real good news, minimizing building additional infrastructure. Because remember, any new technology is not about frequency, and you just look at the whole ecosystem and the TCO of that. So that giving us a relief. So we don't have to build new towers, I would say. The backhauling and the backbone that we can be reused. The upper 6 came at the time where is the 5G advanced and the standalone core becoming more maturity in the 5G. So that aligned with the strategy to boost them together. Because all of this, we are talking about the customer experience at the top. The word best effort is no more longer valid anymore, so we are looking at the SLAs and the guaranteed service. So the guaranteed service with the power of AI, the upper 6, I believe, will be a real booster for the guaranteed service. We are comfortable to give a guaranteed service to any customers anywhere, where we have just to say in the middle of the city. No, with the upper 6, this additional tool. What I would say about the upper 6 is a platform for the innovation, because all the innovation will gonna come in the upper 6 for the ecosystem. So the innovation will push the demand. Demand will create the value. We as tech companies, we need to push to the market. It's not the other way around, waiting for the demand coming to the market. No, we are the innovators. So we are the tech, we are the innovators. We need to push this to the market to create a value. So the game is changed. It's not we have to wait for the customers to come forward. So, and I think there is a big a future for the 5G on the upper 6 in cooperation with the 5G Advanced. And we all move together, as all my colleagues agreed.
Thank you. I can see Muhammad, Raisin, and Zoran nodding and just agreeing with what the operators are saying. So now I will give the floor to you, actually. So as 5G Advanced has reached large-scale commercial deployment in the region, the industry is entering an experience-driven operations era. How can the ultra-wide bandwidth of U6G precisely match these needs and spark new commercial innovations? Jason, maybe we start with you.
Thank you. So I would like to connect with what we were buzzing about in the past day and a half. It was the AI, and AI was actually mainly mentioned in the context of efficiency. However, something what I feel is not mentioned good enough is that we will also increase productivity. And in the context of this traffic, I would say AI will cause us not just to double the traffic yearly, but actually maybe tenfold. With a variety of different use cases, different scenarios we can imagine, AI can imagine, the ways we approach the customer, right? The things will explode. And that's really essential point of why there is a need for our highway, communication highways, to increase in the spectrum as well. And secondly, I will kind of echo what Ms. Dr. Ali was mentioning yesterday, that customers don't need best effort anymore. They would like to have guaranteed experience. And that's really additional challenge for us for this throughput and the traffic. We need to look at this pipe as being able to serve and meet the needs of the customer, individually personalized guaranteed experience. So overall, obviously that this upper 6 gigahertz band is essential way forward. And it benefits include benefits for the consumer in the form of the high definition, high throughput, no buffering. Benefit for the home user, where we can finally achieve something like 10 Gbps milestones. And of course, benefits for the business-to-business industry, and a great example with the F1, which was given today, right? So these are the kind of essentials. And so now, for Huawei, we wanted to start early to be there where the innovation is happening. And we've seen UAE investing in this as a sort of not just hotspot strategy for the needs of, let's say, one racetrack, but to be on a scale of the city like Dubai or on the national scale. So for that to happen, Ms. Brewster mentioned that we need to use mid-band, that something like millimeter wave cannot serve that need. So we had to work on the upper 6G new ecosystem development, and we are now proud to share that we have a new AAU, which is 256T and 256R. It's especially developed to match the capacity and the coverage of the C-band, which means that you would basically match the current footprint which you have typically as their operators. So overall, for this to happen, we had to invest in something which is 1,500 antenna elements new kind of system, which is based on the extremely large antenna array, a very new development which we will release early next year. And to be able to achieve this milestone, we have to work with the industry, of course. And we work with the device vendors, the CP vendors, smartphone vendors. We also want global industry to recognize that this is a specific band. We want to continue, so we, of course, work with the other vendors and the rest of the community. And especially, we worked in UAE with the TDRA and the rest of the operators on the proof of concept, where we achieved many of those milestones. Thank you.
Thank you. Muhammad, if you can answer now.
So first of all, thanks, Christine. I mean, you have to take an award for managing and moderating the biggest panel. This is really a big achievement. So first, let me praise the role and the vision of the regulator here in UAE. World Radio Conference last time, 2023, took place in UAE. And it happens every 4 years. And in each of these sessions, regulators sit together from across the world and agree which spectrum will be given to the operators and how it will be used. During 2023, here in UAE, they agreed that the upper 6 gigahertz will be used by mobile operators. And it will be used for 5G expansion, as Ahmed said and as Bushra said, and then it will be used for 6G. Usually, any regulator takes 2 to 3 years to license a spectrum. Here, in less than 1 year, the regulator in UAE, they license the spectrum for the both operators. And of course, from Nokia perspective, it was important for us. We need to partner with our key customers. We need to partner with them, test it, and understand the characteristics of the 6 gigahertz. Understand how can we compare it to the C-band. Whether do we need densification or not. And here comes the good news. What is the good news for the industry? The good news is that if you use higher number of antenna elements, if you use higher number of transmitters, it has the same characteristics as the C-band. What does this mean? No new capex needed, no new sites needed, no new densification needed. They can have a fast rollout, and they can use existing assets with the lowest investment. This is a very important point. And this is a foundation, because this is the asset of any mobile operator, the spectrum. Now we have the same bigger spectrum. But for me, that is step one. This is the foundation. Step two is what was mentioned in the previous panel by Dr. Mahmoud, by Stelios, about the AI in RAN, computing power. And this is where the announcement of NVIDIA comes into play. NVIDIA, we all have seen the announcement. NVIDIA investing $1 billion into Nokia. Why? Because the industry, because NVIDIA realized that it's important to accelerate integrating AI into the RAN. Why? To enable first step two, which is having the right spectrum efficiency, because you're going to have AI integrated in all algorithms of the radio sites. It will have the best spectrum efficiency, so we can get the best use of this great spectrum we have. And then comes step three, the computing, the AI in RAN. We can have GPUs, we can have NVIDIA GPUs into the radio site. What does this mean? First, you have a very large, strong computing power. How are you going to use it? What we know today is what CTO of DO presented earlier today, the autonomous car racing. This is a great example. That's exactly what needs. Imagine if these cars are no longer racing in the Formula One. What if they are in the streets of Dubai? What do you need? You need the computing high power in the edge, in the radio sites to manage it. You need it for robots. You need it for factories. But this is nothing. This is what we know now. Imagine having a virtual data center in every radio site. What can you do? You can have endless use cases, which you will discover even in the future.
Zoran, if we can hear from your point of view.
Yes, thank you. No, you said that we are agreeing and we are noting what colleagues from operators are saying and also from vendors. And I will stress actually on the same points. In your question, you are combining 5G advanced and experience. And I think this is key, really. This is a big change for the industry. This is first time with 5G advanced that we can guarantee experience. That we can guarantee experience to this for the gamers when it comes to low latency, guarantee experience for high reliability for industry, or we are having more and more users of these smart glasses, AR glasses for uplift throughput. For that we need 5G advanced. But if you look back, what we need for this, we need big pipeline, we need big capacity. Dr. Ali was mentioning that they are having congestion, so you cannot really require the experience and guarantee this experience if you don't have capacity in air interface, which is always a bottleneck. And this is where upper 6 GHz is bringing unique proposition, unique value, because you are having capacity of millimeter wave, but then with propagation, with coverage of the midband. And that's what also Ian was requesting and also do, that we need the same. And that's what's possible. That's what technology is allowing. So that's very important point. The second one is that this so-called centimeter wave, starting from 6 GHz, 7, 8, 9 GHz, this is going to be the key spectrum for 6G. What is 3.5, 4 GHz, 3 GHz for 5G? That's going to be centimeter wave spectrum for 6G. And this is super important what UAE and region is doing by pushing the whole industry, whole ecosystem, devices, network infrastructure, algorithms to start utilizing. We are hearing, of course, in 6G we're going to have even more efficient usage of this band. But it's important that we start developing and starting utilizing this band. So I think 6 GHz, upper 6 GHz, it's fantastic for 5G advanced, fantastic for delivering this guaranteeing experience, and also as a step preparation for the 6G.
Thank you. We don't have a lot of time left, so I will address my last question to Drazen to just build on what you have just said earlier. With the large-scale commercial deployment of 5G advanced in the region, the era of experience-centric monetization has arrived. How can you 6G's ultra-large bandwidth precisely align with experience demands and spawn new business innovations? And based on these business needs, what is the 10 giga network construction philosophy, and how do we support commercial implementation?
Thank you. So in a way, to repeat a little bit of what I said earlier, it's really about cooperation. So we started early from 2022 to work on that, let's say, aspect of the technology, and we were looking basically what is the next milestone of this big pipe highway and how we help operators expand it, right? And the upper 6 gigahertz really looks to be the case, and so we worked with the standardization and the ecosystem to work on the technology and development of the necessary, let's say, radio side of the story. That being said, I would say that the time is not really sort of, now long in the future. I would sort of emphasize that to achieve this, to actually embrace this ecosystem and embrace these use cases, it's now. It's basically, when you think about it from the sort of, today we mentioned the CTO mentioned the F1 case, but we can think of the next to the F1 racetrack, there is a villa with a user, like let's say, a person there with maybe of older age who needs some kind of, let's say, camera there to access the healthcare of the user. That kind of user will need some sort of stronger uplink. Then we might have the business on the side with a massive IoT communication. We might have drones which require higher uplinks of 8K. All of this really, at the end of the day, do we need it tomorrow? Like let's say in several years from now? I would say we need it today. So in a way, do we invest in upper 6 gigahertz today or tomorrow? I think the answer is quite simple. It should be as fast as possible.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up this discussion, we're glad to hear that the Middle East and the UAE are really leading in this regards. Thank you so much for all the panelists. Now, if you can just remain on stage, we're going to have a small launching ceremony with all of you, and our MC will announce some other participants as well.
Yes, indeed, I will, Ms. Christine, as soon as I get these microphones up. So, panelists, I think, do we want a picture first in the middle before we call the panelists to get a group picture first? And for the launching ceremony of the 5G-A 10 Giga Nation, we'd also like to invite Mr. Tony Aid, Mr. Alan Tang, Mr. Barry Hu, Ms. Yu Chen, Mr. Zimin Zhang, Mr. Zhenyua Yao, Ms. Lily Lau as well to join us on stage if you guys are in the audience right after this picture. And then we will set up, of course, and have a countdown just like yesterday. All right. So the countdown, rather, not the timer, will be seen on screen. I believe the lights will go down and we'll have the official launch over here.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Big round of applause as the official launch has now happened over here on the main stage. Thank you so much. We'll have a few pictures, of course. And with that panel, we wrap up our morning session, and we'd like to invite you all to take a lunch break ahead of our afternoon session. Next keynote will begin at around 2:30. So if you guys can be back here for that, that would be appreciated. Bon appetit, everybody. Lunch is now served. Thank you so much. Another round of applause to everybody on stage. Thank you.